Welcome back to the LEC Super Week. Laure here, joined by Youngbuck ahead of their game today against Rogue. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Laure.
Anytime. I mean, you're coming back after an impressive and needed win against G2 yesterday. How did it help with the confidence of making playoffs?
Well, I think it helped massively because historically we have not been able to beat teams in the top 3, even last year. And this split we've also really struggled with it. So we've only beaten a top 3 team once in G2 last year when they had a substitute, but they didn't really feel like it counted. And us getting that win today, or last night, gives us confidence that we can also beat other top teams in the standings, such as Rogue.
Yeah, you will have to play Rogue later today, but I mean, talking about Excel as a whole, I had an interview with Laure yesterday, and we talked about the struggles for Excel for the past few weeks. How have you been able to address these issues internally?
Well, that's a good question. I think we've actually struggled starting in December. We've had very tough scrim results, not very inspiring. But when we ended up going towards stage games, we snagged a few wins that we think we probably shouldn't have gotten. And then what happened the last few weeks is we had some good drafts that we didn't execute on, or just things were going completely the wrong way. And I think the way for us to address it was to be a lot more stricter in the scrims. Like I felt that a lot of the times we had a really good opening game of the set, but then you have 4 more games, and you could tell that the players felt more comfortable having one good game and then just not giving 100% in the rest of the game. So I think just being a lot more stricter and tougher on the guys helped a lot with the practice.
All right, well, that's very good to hear, especially this week, because there's not many chances to make playoffs as it is for Excel. You have 2 more games to go. But I mean, Excel has been in this situation before, like missing out on playoffs. I hope this won't happen this time. But do you feel like it's different compared to the other iterations of Excel lineups?
And lineup-wise, not so much. I think both teams that I coached, or the 3 teams, were playoff worthy or could make playoffs. What's really different is that last year we got to see Schalke overtake us in the last week without having much say about it. But this time we played them on the last day, so if it's between us and them, we're going to make sure that it's up to us to take the final spot.
Yeah, time to take your revenge on Schalke, but you get another opponent coming for you today, Rogue. I want to say you defeated G2 yesterday, but these are very different teams, so how are you going to approach this one?
I think Rogue has a very similar playstyle to ourselves, very jungle focused and being very efficient with farming. And because of that, and also having blue side actually gives us a bit of an advantage in the draft. We know what they want to do, how they want to play. I think they have a very similar feeling for us. And yeah, it's just fun going up against a team like that because I think we know each other in and out because we have a similar playstyle.
All right, yeah, and this blue side giving the ability to grab these very interesting and needed picks in the meta right now. But okay, last question, more about the team. How are the players feeling right now?
I think today super happy. I think yesterday before the G2 game, seeing Misfits and Schalke take a win, it felt a little bit. It wasn't the greatest mood because it was almost like reality hitting us that playoffs would be really tough. But after beating G2, I think we know that we still have a lot of fight in us and that we can actually take the next 2 games.
That's amazing to hear. I hope this confidence can shine on stage for Excel today. Thank you so much, Youngbuck, for the interview.
You're very welcome.
And welcome back to the Caster Desk. I'm Medic, this is Ender. We are here for the final 3 games of the day. And Ender, I see you eyeing that button.
Yeah, Vedius told me he changed it, and it's going to do something different. I'm a little nervous. Should I press it?
Go ahead. I'm going to stand back over here, though.
Yeah, okay, stay. There might be a blast radius. Okay, Vedius got some good taste. Yeah, game 3 coming our way. Jamming over here.
Kevin just told us something was going to happen, and then it happened. That is amazing.
Do that, Pep. I'm not going to press it again, by the way. We're just going to keep writing that in the
keep the music going the whole time. This is great. We can take this into Champion Select. It's going to be great.
Okay. I'm being yelled at.
I mean, what's new? Do or die, though. This game for Excel. If they lose versus Rogue, they are eliminated from playoffs contention. Otherwise, everyone is still in. Rogue, of course, still fighting for that first spot as well. They could overtake G2 with a win right here. We'll see if they can do it. Excel, Youngbuck said, it's in our own hands. Well, they do still need the other teams to lose. Even if they go 3-0 this week, they are not guaranteed a playoff spot.
Should I send us in?
Send
Should
us
I
in.
do it? Okay! I dropped the button.
And into Champion Select we go.
That really hurt, actually.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. That's bad for your hands. So, what did Excel do well yesterday? Well, they had a scaling composition, they stayed even in the early game, and they scaled. That's what I want to see from them again today.
And all of that, even simpler terms, is just they stuck to their style.
Yep.
You know, and I said it to Dan on PGL last night. Stick to your style. It's what's worked all split long for Excel. And Excel came away with their first win against a team ranked higher than them in the standings. Now up against Rogue here today. They have to stay competitive. A loss will eliminate them from playoffs possibilities of making it into that top 6 here, so they have to show up with a good look today.
Already we see the Tristana banned away by Rogue. Patrik popped off on that yesterday. Lots of AD carry bans actually, with the Caitlyn and the Senna being removed. Alongside that, a bit of a support focus with the Thresh, and immediately Dan says, Lillia worked out well for us yesterday, I'll pick that up once again.
Yeah, with the Hecarim taken off there, I do believe the Lillia shoots up in priority. Now we look at things like the Rell over for Rogue. Likely just continue to see the Rell Alistar traded around. I think that Torre on the Alistar in particular looked pretty good yesterday, especially with some creative 2v2 around the bot lane. They're actually able to knock down the Mickey Reckless duo on their own in an isolated 2v2, punting them back underneath the tower. So would love to see a similar look from that bot lane once again today.
Well, for the moment, as you said, ended the Rell immediately locked in. Alongside that, Kryze for Hansama, his most played this season. He has got 100% win rate on that champ over 7 games, which is pretty impressive. Less impressive when you think about the fact that Rogue wins most of their games anyway.
But then that's also very impressive if you win most of your games.
That is true. Alistar locked in here for Torre in the bottom lane. We'll see if they decide to pair it up with an AD carry this early. Could, of course, look towards top and then ban out later on, but instead, Patrik gets the Xayah. Bit of self-peel, a lot of damage in the late game. Can work well into the Rell as well because you just pop your ult when she jumps in.
Yeah, and I also think Xayah plus the Alistar with that chain CC sets up nicely for all your feathers to go out. Then you root them. Then Alistar's E stun is all ready to go there. So some chain CC down on the bottom side of the map. I like this from Excel to be sure. And they've also held on to their solo lane pick. So not too surprising to see Rogue go for a solo lane pick on the third rotation here. And now they can ban away some of those mid laners that fare pretty well into the Syndra.
I mean, Czekolad has consistently looked towards those control mages. The Orianna, Syndra, Azir have been his most picked. There's the Orianna ban. I was a little surprised to see the mid lane pick here because usually you'd want to get a jungler for Rogue, but obviously if they think the jungle pool is big enough, even if there's 2 targeted bans here, they can find something else in their back pocket.
Yeah, and you know, it has been very common practice for a lot of LEC teams, just ban the Azir away from Czekolad and try to make it so that he can't get onto that one. So that's what I'm sort of eyeing here for Rogue. I think for Excel, it goes without saying, now you want to remove a lot of these junglers away. Take the Nidalee from Inspired. He was a beast on that one yesterday, especially playing around the Syndra in the mid lane. So I'm sort of expecting Rogue to go for a similar style to yesterday. Again, that's focused a little bit more on early skirmishing. They already have, the bot and mid lane trio that worked so well for them just yesterday, and now they're banning away the Victor, so another one of those scaling mid lane picks that does leave the Azir open, and I almost feel like Czekolad could go that direction.
I mean, Azir's win rate did drop by a ton on 11-5.
But Czekolad's Azir was so good,
exactly, and you wonder, like, how much does the 10 damage nerf really hurt? Of course it does, but is it still viable when you are falling down to this B tier, C tier of mid lane? Do you want to just pick something you are comfortable on? Speaking of comfort, looks like Odoamne might be going back to the Gnar in the top lane, leaving jungle for last.
That's surprising. What is Inspired pull? What's he ready to pull out here, Whenever you blind pick both soul lanes, when you absolutely can hold on to the counter pick for one of them, it always makes you think that the jungler has something specifically prepared. In the past we think like, oh, is this a 5th pick Evelynn to come out and surprise Excel? But really, I don't know what they're going to throw in there, if it's going to be something spicy. They could, of course, just go something a little bit more
It's got to be spicy. Talon.
It's got to be. No.
Yeah,
I honestly, you guys have been hyping up Talon yesterday. It's not going to get played.
It's
Selfmade's
not, but
having
we
fun
can
in
dream.
solo queue, but that's all right.
You can always dream, and Sion locked once again for Kryze in the top lane. I mean, Excel's composition looks very similar to yesterday's.
I like it.
Looks like they're going to round it out with a Sylas. I love the fact Sylas has come back into the meta, especially with these big, hard-hitting ultimates. You look at the Gnar, you look at the Unleashed Power coming from the Syndra, the Magna. Oh, an AP Magna Storm.
Yeah,
this is going to be
the one
fun.
I was looking at.
It's going to be fun.
The Jungle Vel'Koz, how could we not have seen this coming? All right, we'll see what Rogue end up locking in for themselves. Again, I'm expecting it to be a more early aggression-focused type jungler here from Inspired. So if the Jarvan were to be locked in, it wouldn't surprise me. Of course, Udyr has been left open this entire time, so obviously that is going to come through now for Inspired. And again, what worked so well for Rogue yesterday was their early skirmishing, especially around the mid lane. Czekolad now on the Sylas is piloting a melee mid laner, which is especially vulnerable to support roams towards mid. There's a lot of CC on all, mid jungle support from the side of Rogue. So Czekolad is going to need to keep his wards up, is going to manage his waves very well to get through this early lane phase.
Well, something Excel did really well yesterday was track those roams. We saw Torre coming towards the mid lane whenever G2 were trying to get a 3 or 4-man dive onto Czekolad in that lane. The rest of Excel were there to help out and just sustain through that early game. The expectation here is for Excel, if you can get to 20 minutes even, you have a strong scaling composition. You have power in those late game team fights. The question is, can they utilize that power for their second win of the weekend? Currently sitting at 6-10, Excel, it's do or die. You are down and out if you lose this game, but we'll see if they can take down Rogue. And a scenic view of the champions there.
In case you forgot what they picked, I wonder if I can press the button and get the music to play while we're in game.
Oh.
I've been told no. Immediately before I finished my sentence, it was a no. You can blame Kevin, guys, if you wanted.
All right, we always blame Kevin. He did tell me I was adorable before the cast, though. So
that's
nice
cute.
of him, yeah.
Never said that to me.
So let's talk about what Rogue have just done. And because they've walked in towards Excel's jungle and they placed a ward on this red buff. No sweepers on the side of Excel, so they won't be able to deny this vision. And with Dan starting on the bottom side, actually looks like Excel were expecting something to happen. You can see they're slowly working their way through here. Torre walks around the ward and, okay, places a ward. I was worried for a moment we're going to have a limit moment where he's like, I've got Hex Flash, right? No, just flashes over the wall.
Flashes over the bush without any information. No, I think Excel, because they actually didn't have anyone really posting inside their bot jungle, they're like, okay, we're going to call everyone down here, try to retake it in case they're in here. Of course, like Lillia's level 1 fighting, very, very powerful. Just stacking up that Q, all that move speed can be very annoying to deal with here. And with both bot lanes deciding not to leash, there's always the potential for an early scrap just to, assert your dominance, say that you're going to be the ones fighting over the wave first, getting that prio in fast. We saw from Dan as well. It looked a little bit weird because he was pulling the red buff over towards the Krugs, but that was just to keep the stacks of his passive up, all that move speed so that he can increase that clear just a little bit faster.
Already we see a bit of aggression from Trymbi and Hansama in the bottom lane. One of our bloodiest 2v2 bot lanes actually have, I think, the second most 2v2 kills out of any of the lanes in the LEC. And Trymbi using his shield, using the aftershock when he jumps in, just to get that little bit of extra damage down onto the XL bot lane. XL lose the push in the lane. Of course, they took a while to get down here early on, so it was always expected. And Trymbi and Hansama will hit that level 2 first.
Yeah, some good damage going down at Czekolad in the mid lane too. Interesting actually seeing the Doran shield here for the Sylas as opposed to the Corrupting Potion. Now, I personally am much more of a fan of Corrupting Potion, especially because on the Sylas you're going to be running Teleport. So, on the 4th, 5th wave, you can go back to base very easily after, completing all 3 potions, get all those recharged. So it feels like a ton of value you can gain out of going for that option. But of course, he realizes he's going to get poked out a lot, and maybe this says that he wants to stay in lane for longer. But ultimately, I still, if I was in this matchup, I would go for the Corrupting Potion.
It's a good thing he's on the LEC stage then.
Okay, well, true.
Czekolad's still being forced out. He has got the fleet footwork, so can sustain just a little bit on the Sylas. In the lane, we saw Hansama and Trymbi get the push in the bot lane, work their way up the river, just gaining control over that Scuttle area. And actually looks like Dan has worked bot to top in his jungle pathing, but now has realized he can't really trade for that top side crab as there's an engage in the bottom lane. Hansama's going to cleanse away. Patrik decides not to flash in, does still have the heal. Currently a summoner spell advantage for XL, although they did burn an ignite and Trymbi did not use his own.
Yeah, and it seems like this is all playing into a fight for this bot side Scuttle Crab. Dan's going to try and get in there, but he doesn't have a smite, so Inspired will take that easily. And even though bot lane was going well for Excel with the early skirmish around there, Czekolad is completely useless in the mid lane currently. Larssen just absolutely bullying him for the time being.
The thing with this, though, is XL are okay with this. If you can get Czekolad to level 6 without dying in lane, only 10, 15 CS behind, that's fine. Kryze is just absorbing pressure on the top side as expected. The CS in bot lane is basically the same. And need I remind you, Ender, yesterday, XL won with a very similar comp versus G2. You can see the Tristana, Xayah switch around, the Orianna, Sylas switch around, but both that AD carry and that mid laner do very similar jobs when we get towards team fights.
Yeah, I would say the bigger difference is probably going to be between the mid lane champions, but when you look at the ultimates, Czekolad can steal, it's like, okay, well, kind of like a shockwave if you get that Rell in there. It's just a longer duration shockwave.
Yeah, and then you have the Gnar ult as well, and you've got the Unleashed Power. You have so many good ultimates here for Czekolad. Of course, we have talked a lot about XL in the early game here. Rogue will be very happy with how this game's playing as well. This tends to be how they've played their early games, get these incremental advantages, get the priority in the lanes, and then they start to open up the map by getting extra plates, by getting extra CS when the enemy is grouping for some of these early objectives.
Yeah, and I think the thing that bodes the best news for XL here is that the bot lane was able to take a favorable trade early on. They also are the first ones back to base, get some priority to take over the map a little bit. You see Dan feels a little bit emboldened to put some vision down on the top side of the map. Now, me personally, I would have actually much rather seen XL invest that vision underneath the mid lane, because that's going to be where, Tori would likely approach from mid, and if they continue to use this bot lane priority, well, then you want to have a control ward in the pixel bush on the bot side so that Tori can roam to mid, or to see if Larssen, who's constantly pushing mid, is ever going to try and come and punish you for pushing on the other side. It's that sort of roam switcheroo that can go between the two lanes.
It's always a concern when your mid laner is pushed in that the enemy mid laner can just work their way down towards the bottom side, especially since you have few and far between wards early on. You've got a control ward each, you have those warding totems. Usually as a support on your first back, you switch over to the oracles, so that's another fewer ward that you have in the bottom lane. It means Inspired could be anywhere in that bot side river right now, and XL wouldn't know. Of course, he's not, and he's on a control ward, so they do know where he is. But for the moment, XL just seem to be very happy in the current games.
Yeah, so this is the window. You see Hansama is going back to base. Trymbi pretended to reset as well, and he's actually roaming towards mid, because this is when you expect Tori to make a play around this lane as well, knowing that Rogue's bot lane should be resetting, and ultimately because Dan is also involved in this party, Trymbi's going to feel real bad, because now he has no good way to get back to base. He's full HP, 60% on the mana bar, so he doesn't necessarily have to take a reset here. He'd likely just get a ruby crystal, maybe some boots, and some wards.
I mean, early boots are so good for a support, though, especially if you can get towards the Ionian boots of Lucidity. You can see Torre already able to roam around the map just that little bit quicker than Trymbi, and Trymbi has now backed. He's got himself the Lucidity boot, so he will have so much more impact in some of these fights.
Yeah, and ultimately Trymbi is allowed to go back to base, because if we actually go down to the bot lane, just a little bit down, guys, see the wave? Yeah, huge wave building up there from Patrik as they push it in towards the tower, and it wasn't pushing fast enough that like Excel were going to try to threaten a dive on that wave, so Trymbi's like, all right, you're going to be fine, Hansama. You don't need me down there. Just get that solo EXP, no problem. Kryze definitely happy to soak that up, and now Patrik has been back to base twice in the span that Rogue's bot lane has only been back once.
Has been able to get himself a pickaxe double longsword here. Noonquiver already complete on Hansama though, so instead of getting the extra upfront damage from the pickaxe, he instead went for the Noonquiver itself. About 1,000 gold lead here for Rogue in the early game, kind of as we expected, just from how these teams have been playing over the last little while.
Yeah, and by now the cleanse has already come back, so Dan's going to try a gank towards the top side of the map. It's a good window, but Odo very high on the rage.
Yeah, and also just steps to the side of the Decimating Smash. If you can't lock him down, can't really do too much.
Yeah, so I don't really love this from Excel. I actually don't think either team should be looking at top lane pretty much at all here. Rogue trying to dive a sign is just quite miserable unless Larssen's also going to be joining the party here. If you do notice, Dan was able to get a ward on the Rift Herald, which would see out and Inspired, but it's a 2-level difference in the jungle.
Oh, Inspired steals away the Gromp as well. Dan has just been so forced back in his jungle. I don't think he's got a Scuttle Crab yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's been completely denied off of the Scuttle Crabs, and also I think just the Udyr's base clear is going to be faster. Yeah. Dan now with the buff being stolen away, potentially, Czekolad has to get involved.
I mean, Dan has Smite and Inspired does not, so Dan will be able to secure that himself. Larssen TP'd in to see if he could join the fight, but for the moment, Dan will be able to get up towards that level 6.
Yeah.
Gives him just that little bit more pressure and a little bit more impetus in some of these skirmishes that we said Rogue were going to try and look for. At the moment, they haven't really had to have all-out brawls. Instead, they are just denying Excel from some of these resources on the map. But Dan is going to flash forward. Looting Lullaby coming out as well. Flash away from Inspire. The chase is on, and goodbye, Udyr. Well played there by Excel.
I love that combination. Now, Larssen's moving up here, charging up some Qs inside the brush to see if he can get a huge unleashed power. There's no smite on Dan. Can they steal it away?
Not quite able to get it. Secured by Dan in the end. Importantly, Patrik and Torve had moved up from the bottom lane as well, so they were well on their way to joining that skirmish at the Rift Herald. And
you think they were going for the skirmish? Patrik just wanted the
Scuttle Crab there. We've got to take it. Deny it from the enemy jungler.
Even when Excel are getting Scuttle Crabs, it's still not Dan that's getting
true.
the crabs.
That is true. But what I will say is, as much as playing around the Gnar, who has easy escapes, can be a little bit risky. What worked yesterday for Excel versus G2 was constantly ganking Wonder, constantly shutting him down, and of course, a Jace is a little bit easier to gank than Gnar. As Patrik oversteps a little bit in the bottom lane, Magnet Storm comes out, Feathers fly, and Patrik's trying to trade back here onto Hans. Some of the Killer Instinct comes out, good double knockup. Patrik brings the Feathers back, and Dan and Torre are there to help out. Trymbi flashes forward to get a kill for himself, but Dan is on the chase. Inspired here to join the fray. Czekolad misses the abscond abduct, but Trymbi has nowhere to go and no flash to get out. Dan gets his second kill of the game.
2 days in a row against two of the best bot lanes in the LEC. Torre and Patrik have shown a little outplay there. Torre keeping his AD carry alive for so long, able to trade that back onto Trymbi, get a couple kills out of the exchange as well. Of course, they had their jungler on the way to move over too, but this looked completely doomed at the start. Patrik has almost no mana. Trymbi obviously locks him down immediately from the start, but then Torre's like, no, 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 not today. Get away from my ADC. Pushes. Oh, wait.
Oh, Kryze been nod underneath the tower. Odoamne's tanking this up. Kryze trying to trade back.
Come on, guys. I told you it was impossible to dive a Sion.
Well, no, he did manage to dive him. He just couldn't do anything with the dive.
Right.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, Patrik is still here. Torre going to Hex Flash across the wall. Odoamne has Flash. Torre doesn't have Flash to follow if Odoamne flashes away from the WQ combo.
Yeah. That's exactly the trade you expect to see every single time. They're still getting the flash off the Gnar is good, and again, Excel coming off that, crazy bot lane experience in the 3v3, they immediately move back towards the top side of the map. The Rift Herald, of course, is in Dan's pocket from earlier, so they do have the option to place that around the top side if they want. And I actually really like going for a lane swap, even though all the summoner spells are gone between the bot lane matchups here. I like this decision from Excel because Sion is so good at surviving in 1v2, 1v3, these 1vx situations underneath the tower. Even if you do manage to kill him, his passive is just going to clear away the entire minion wave, and then you're looking at a full turret given to Patrik and almost nothing to Hansama.
Exactly. Patrik already getting a bunch of those plates. Has the Zerka Greaves now complete. Dan still has that Rift Herald for about a third of its cooldown, so could look to place it in. Magnet Storm coming out. Czekolad can try and dodge away from this one. Manages to abscond back to a minion under the tower, and Trymbi really wasn't able to get much more out of his ultimate. The rest of Excel are working their way across here. Rogue will just back away. Ender, we are 12 minutes in. The gold is basically even. Remember what I said, at 20 minutes, if this game is even, Excel are licking their lips greedily at that playoff spot.
And Excel might even come away with an advantage here after they place this Rift Herald from the early game. Hansama desperately calling his support on over here, but they can't actually sit underneath the tower because with the Herald with only 3 plates left, it is very easy just to break this turret and then continue to force onto Hans. So Hans is going to have to back away from this. The rest of Rogue are like, guys, you can't fight for that one. We're going to take the dragon towards the bot side, but I actually think it's quite a miss here from Rogue to try and match in that 2v2 towards the top side of the map.
And if you looked at the bottom of your screen there, you could see the gold for Patrik jump up. It was about even with Hansama when that Rift Herald started the charge. He is now 800 gold ahead.
Yeah, also if you look at the two junglers, right? Because for a point there, Inspired was 2 levels ahead of Dan. Now, if you actually looked at the EXP, it was about a 1 in 1.5 levels, 1.4, something like that. It wasn't quite as extreme, but to see that now Dan, with a couple of solid ganks, has been able to finish off his first mythic item, the only one he can buy, as a matter of fact. It shows very good signs for Excel to try and stabilize that jungle matchup.
Definitely does. Dragon on the cards in about 4 minutes' time. Still a long way to go before that really becomes a key point of contest. And as we have a moment, it looks like Torre isn't going to engage. Just want to remind people of how the LEC looks right now. Excel sitting at 6 and 10 need Misfits, SK, Schalke to drop games. Like, they need Schalke and SK not to win any more games. They need Misfits not to win any more games, really, to make it into the playoffs. And they would have to win today, and they would have to beat Schalke tomorrow. It's a long road to climb for Excel. Their fate is not in their own hands, but after beating G2 yesterday, and now in a good position versus Rogue, the question is, can Excel get to playoffs for the first time in their history?
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to. Once again, Inspired trying to invade this blue buff. This time he's got a smite, so Dan's going to have to walk away. You can see the entire top side map just pushing in for Rogue. Meanwhile, Patrik and Torre making some moves towards bot side. It's very difficult to dive this Gnar, especially with plated steel caps and a stride breaker complete. But now as we see Czekolad and the rest of Excel make their way down towards bot side, Odo will be that strong weak side top laner we know him to be and say, I'm coming to the strong side, baby.
You told me you couldn't dive a Sion. He's blocked by the killer instinct from Hansama. That was beautiful. Dives in front of the Zombie King and manages to take him out. Kryze trying to trade back in, but he's locked up. And the zombie form will die. Good play there from Rogue in the top lane.
Yeah, that was really, really solid coming through from them. And now Excel, we'll see what they're able to get off the map, because I think Excel's still in a very comfortable position in this game. They got that full turret on the bot side. Patrik took that all by himself. He's feeling very good about himself with the Gale Force also completed now. It removes a lot of the engaged threat I feel that Rogue have, because obviously already he's going to have the Feather Storm he can pop up, try and get away from something like the Rell, but now even if Rell tries to hop in towards Patrik, well, scoots away with that Gale Force. There'll be no problem.
Later on today, of course, we have Mad versus G2 in the match of the week. But I'm going to be honest, every game is a match of the week right now. Every game has playoff implications.
That's not how match of the week works, Medic. No, no, no. There can only be one.
What about last week? We had 2 then.
You want to say Rogue versus G2 was the match of the week? Okay.
That's true. Anyway. 15 minutes in, Excel still very even in this game, about 100 gold between the two teams. We are seeing those first completed items across the board, inspired with a turbo chem tank. Hansama has his Kraken Slayer complete. Larssen took a stop off to get himself a green shield, a verdant barrier. But he will now complete his Liandry's Torment.
Oh, Hansama very forward here. Of course, has his support on the way. Jungler too, making their way towards the bot side. It's a very interesting game because teams are just trading pressure on both sides of the map. The big difference here, though, is that Excel are going to be able to knock down this mid lane turret as well, sort of keep Larssen pinned in this mid lane if they want to make some sort of side lane rotation afterwards. But Rogue have something to say about it. They're here to fight.
Torre trying to knock Odoamne away from the fray. Patrik doing as much damage as he can. Torre has the stun up. Odo jumps across the wall. And it looks like Trymbi was looking for a flank position, couldn't find it. Odo's going back in here. Patrik still has the Feather Storm. Trymbi coming forward, but Czekolad hasn't stolen away an ultimate as of yet. Has a slew to choose from. And for the moment, will decide that he wants to hold on to his own.
This is showing some growth, though, from Excel. I mean, even yesterday, Dan was talking about when they went on their big losing streak, they still were, you know, playing some of these scaling comps, but they chose a lot of really bad fights. And there, for a second, Kryze was going to recall, maybe teleport in, they were going to frag, but then they said, no, we can actually just walk our way out of this one. We got a ton of damage on that mid lane turret. Kryze pick up the wave in bot side, shove that one out. Go back, finish off an item, and Excel are going to calm things down once again. And Excel, they need to keep this game calm. That's how Excel win games, is when they're able to get to the later stage team fight. I think their decision-making in the later stages of the game has been quite good generally for them, and they do feel much more stable at those points. And now, off of the setup, they have good vision control inside the river, but their own jungle littered with wards because of the way the map was traded off earlier, and Rogue had that pressure down towards bot side. So there's TP flank wards, although Syndra's not really going to be doing that, and there's a lot of information to give Rogue the intel that Excel are in fact in this river.
I'm pretty sure Rogue are just going to give up this dragon. They don't really need to fight over it. It's the second of the game. They already have one. And their Cloud Dragon doesn't give Excel too much in this situation.
I almost feel like the biggest part about it is because the first Drake took so long to actually go down. Yeah. Like, usually we see these early fights over dragons, the first Drake's taking like 6 minutes, you know, and then you're threatening a 23-minute soul. And it's like, okay, well, maybe now we need to freak out a little bit and go for a fight. But because Rogue took their time on the first one, they're like, hey, Soul is really not going to be a concern for such a long time. There's absolutely no need to force anything right here.
I will say we are watching a Rogue and an Excel game, so it's possible that we get towards Soul at some point. Both these teams, well, actually Rogue, that's a bit disingenuous to Rogue. Rogue have actually sped up their gameplay. They play methodically, but what they do is they take a gold lead and constantly eke away from the enemy team in quite a fast fashion.
I mean, I also say that like Rogue don't really have one generic style.
That's
like
true.
they've proven they can play multiple different comps, different, you know, speeds of game and whatnot here. As Kryze gets a big bump on Hansama. Continues over the wall with an ultimate.
Going in with the also burns
Wow.
Hansama's flash there.
I mean, the rest of Excel was on the way, so an intelligent flash there for Hansama, and Udyr, well, is a pretty decent skirmishing champion. Not the best when it comes to peel. He just sort of runs around trying to slap everyone for 1 second stuns, and not the most effective thing in the world when it comes to saving your AD carry's life.
Yeah, if someone's running at you, a zombie, you know, master, just slapping him a few times doesn't tend to dissuade him. He's got the shield made of like his own voice. It's the roar of the Slayer. It's just like, oh, I'm so big.
Is that how that works?
Oh, I don't know. Airwaves, sound waves could do it, probably.
True.
Oh, Czekolad looking for the Gnar here underneath the tower. Odoamne has a Gnar of his own. Trade continues. Odoamne throws a bit of a building and will use the Gnar in the end. It was a good trade there from Czekolad, but really just kept Odoamne under the tower.
I mean, the only reason it's not a solo kill is because there's no one from Excel on the bot side of the map, so Czekolad can't extend forward there. But, I mean, I loved a lot of things about that. He uses the Gnar ultimate not just to stun up Odoamne, but to also clear the minion wave. So then Odoamne is tanking the tower. Of course, has the first item Everfrost complete as well. So the chain CC from a stolen ultimate, plus your Abscond Abduct, plus that Everfrost is pretty frustrating to play against, and Odoamne already realizing that itemizing into armor early on has not really helped him in this 1v1 against the Sylas.
We do see Czekolad going for that Everfrost build that we've seen on Sylas a few times. The ability to lock someone up with the Abscond Abduct, then Everfrost root them, then use a Gnar ultimate, use a Magnet Storm, use all of these abilities to lock them in place. It's just so strong from the Sylas. And with Baron spawned, I don't think either team is really going to play for that objective, but we'll play for vision control around it as Rogue clear out just a few wards. Both AD carries, Ender, have decided Lord Dominic's is the way to go, as we are seeing much more of this as a second item on ADs. The Giant Slayer passive, giving you that extra damage to tanks, and with there being more tanks in the game, it just makes a lot more sense.
I like it. When there's a Sion, an Udyr, and a tank Hecarim in every single game, it definitely does
and
check
supports the tanks now as well. Like, we're not really seeing any enchanters. We're not seeing... Even things like Thresh get banned.
When was the last time enchanters were meta, man? Like, come on.
Look,
we've been...
every support main has flashbacks to Ardent meta, okay? Every one of us. It's like, do I want to play Janna and stand by the tier 1 tower pressing E every 10 minutes? Just get one of those, you know those little birds on the pivots that just go with their beaks, they just tap something over and over again?
No.
It's an old thing. You're too zoomer to understand.
What?
There were these little clicky birds that you put on your desk, a bit like a Newton's cradle, and it would just constantly go up and down. It was balanced by water. And so you just press that on your E key the entire time and hover your mouse over the AD carry.
That doesn't sound real.
Okay. Someone knows a name for it somewhere out there in the wide world.
I mean, it probably
Look,
was
I'm
a
almost
thing,
30 years old, Ender, okay?
Real, okay?
I was from a generation before yours.
Oh, God.
In my day, we walked 10 miles in the snow to get to League of Legends.
Someone bring Medic's cane.
But Quickshot's not on the show today, so one of us has to be the old man, right?
Oh, no. He's going to be mad that you're stealing his thing from him, by the way. I hope you know that.
Let's be honest, he steals a lot of stuff from the rest of us.
True.
Yep.
True. Back to the game. Excel.
Not much has happened in the last 2 minutes.
It's true, honestly. It's a little bit slow here, but hey, you said at 20 minutes, Excel, as long as they're not behind, well, they're ahead, Medic, by 600 whole gold, and continue to just trade flip-flop pressure on the map, and I absolutely love this. In the jungle, a 2,000 gold lead has somehow emerged now for Dan. Of course, equalized a whole lot by the carries on Rogue's side, who I assume are pilfering a lot of the jungle camps away from Inspired now as well.
I will say there's a slight difference to me between this game and yesterday's game, because yesterday's game, Excel had a very similar composition, but G2's comp was very invested in getting ahead and being able to fight from ahead. Rogue's comp doesn't really need that to the same degree. You know, Kryze is still good if she's a couple of, like 1,000 gold behind. Syndra's still she has one button and she can press it really well, right? So the question for me is, can Excel level up from yesterday and actually play against a team that's macro in the mid game is usually very strong?
Yeah, and I would say there are a lot of, you know, clutch ultimates and abilities on Rogue's side that can win fights from behind. Even that Rell comes to mind here. Rogue are not going to contest the Drake nearly whatsoever. I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it the Rogue are going to be waiting for before they pull the trigger and go for some sort of fight? You know, they could just be waiting to see if Excel makes some sort of mistake, but it seems like they just want to get Hansama as much gold as they possibly can for the moment, because eventually we're going to reach a point where, like, if Rogue can take control over one side of the jungle, which they've consistently been trying to do, and if then they can set up a trap inside the Fog of War and Excel try to reclaim territory, well, the Syndra stun into all of a sudden a Kryze flying in, like, that's such a nasty combo when it comes to picking people off. So it feels like it's Rogue almost playing for pressure, playing for vision first, and then waiting to see will Excel step into any sort of trap.
It really feels like they are funneling into Hansama over the last little while. He's been solo in that top lane, sitting at 270 farm. Larssen 278, actually 70 ahead of Czekolad in that mid lane. Has finished the Seraphs and the Liandry's Anguish. For the moment, Czekolad will be okay, just on the Everfrost. Of course, does want to get towards that second, third item to really have this Sylas scale up.
Yeah, there is actually a really big difference in how the teams are divvying up jungle camps for the time being, because you see, like, on the retake of the map, Larssen walks in into the bot side to take away Wolves and Gromp, so he's been doing this consistently for quite some time, whereas both of Dan's topside camps are up. The blue buff has actually spawned now too, and no one's farming those, right? Dan's saying, like, I need all these camps for myself, and I feel like that might almost hurt Excel just a little bit. Of course, Lillia does scale well with items. Kryze yells very loudly.
That was a smart move to cancel it.
Yep.
They didn't know where Syndra was. She was waiting just around the corner. Yeah. Dan now stepping forward as well.
But this is where, like, Rogue's, the way they play the map is actually just better right now. Because, again, Dan's like, okay, now we want to make a play around bot side. All these camps on the top side still up. No one's taking them. It's just gold EXP valuation that is being
Gonna
wasted.
go for this. Swellseed landed. The Loathing Lullaby coming out as well. And the sleep goes into the Decimating Smash. Can the rest of Excel get here in time? Odoamne flashes away, uses the Stride Breaker, and the answer is no. They cannot get here in time. And you know what Rogue are going to do during this time? They're going to gain total control of that topside jungle.
Maybe even take away those camps. It's a possibility here for Inspired to walk on in. Again, Hansama has just been posted in top lane for the last 10 minutes, it feels like, just pushing in wave after wave after wave after wave, working on his next item. But yeah, now, as we mentioned, the blue buff stolen away, and even though the other camps don't seem like they're going to be taken, well, Gromp now is, even if they weren't taken, the fact is, if they were farmed a minute and a half ago, they'd be back up again, you know? So it's these small things that I think are actually keeping Rogue
here we go.
Ahead in overall gold.
Sorry, I got really baited by the observers, because as soon as they do this, oh, look.
Oh, now they're doing it.
Yeah, now they're doing it again. Torre's got a base check, and you talked about it, and you can't regain control of the area because Rogue are lying in wait. Hansama gets his second kill of the game, and Rogue might turn their eyes straight towards the Baron. Yeah, that ward that was placed in River actually gave Torre a really false sense of security. He thought, there's no way anyone can be in this brush, but now Rogue, they get the pick on him. They're going to TP in behind and go for the Baron. Double TP's used. Czekolad's going to join the fight as well. Can he steal away Odoamne's ultimate? That's the one he's got to look for in these moments. 4,000 HP on the Baron. Kryze stepping in. Patrik pushing forward as well. Dan has the Lilting Lullaby available. Kryze trying to get the damage down that he can. Trymbi in the back of the pits taking a huge amount, and now has to jump out with the shield. Baron resets. Excel played that very well. They stopped Rogue from being able to engage on them. Kryze was the meat shield he needed to be on the front line, and they managed to get Excel away, Rogue away from the Baron. You know, Excel did everything they needed to do, but I'm a little surprised in how Rogue executed there as well, because a lot of the time, when it's a 5v4 and you're on the Baron, you're never trying to full commit for the Baron, because there'll be a 50-50. Okay, Kryze. A little bit greedy from Kryze to stay around. He flashes away. The Killer Instinct comes out as well, and perhaps Torre is going to distract Odoamne and Hansama for long enough. The Wallop comes in. Odoamne now the target. Czekolad's going to gnar him back, and this is... that was bad. That was bad from Kryze. He overstepped, he overstayed, and Rogue now get another kill, and you know what's up, Ender. Let's just run it back. Let's try the exact same thing. Now, this time the difference is Trymbi's ultimate is back up. Rogue should always be looking for the turn off the Baron into a 5 versus 14 fight, not looking to actually full commit into a 50-50 steal unless they can zone away Dan. But again, watch where Trymbi and Larssen are going to be setting up for this side flank attack onto Excel as they try to approach the pit. Czekolad shouldn't be able to steal away Odoamne's ultimate here. He used it just a while ago. His hijack is still on cooldown. Inspired down low. Hansama, the target, has to flash away. Inspired to the back of the pit. Does he have flash? He can. can flash out if he needs to. The stun lands, and that's Dan. The Gnar comes out. This is awful. This is all over the place. Patrik gets one. Czekolad gets another. Now Larssen caught out by Torre. And that's a shutdown either way. Both the AD carries kill each other. Kryze coming in with the TP. Larssen has to try and flash away, but straight underneath the tower. And that was a disaster if I've ever seen one. Charging to victory perhaps for Kryze, but Inspired runs away. Czekolad flashes the wall, the Everfrost just catches on the side. Inspired just zooming away through his jungle, but in the end, Excel will get the kill. And Ender, quickly before we jump into the replay, I want to congratulate Torre on his 1000th LEC assist. He hit it with his second assist of the game.
How about that? What is going on, though, Medic? I mean, Torre's getting assists, Excel are winning the fight somehow, and Rogue are completely split in their decision-making. Right before it, I'm like, okay, you have to make the decision to turn and force the fight, and then no one agreed to actually do that. So he started off with the pick onto Kryze, which, again, he's overextended in mid lane without the rest of his team ready to respond into any sort of play. And then once you get this kill, especially with Trymbi's Magnet Storm back up, ready to go, all you have to do is look to turn around and force this fight onto Rogue. But then Hansama and Inspired are stuck in the pit while the rest of the team is trying to fight. Why are you trying to burst this down? Don't do that. It's all about the team fight. Why is Patrik allowed to step forward and auto-attack AD carry on AD carry action? That's completely messed up. That should never be allowed to happen. And Rogue are in a position where the fight ends up still being close at the end of the day because it was a 5 versus 4, but it should have never been like that. Yeah. It should have been a 5v4 that they win commandingly.
Do you want to give credit to Torre as well? He distracted Larssen. He was buffeting away Rogue for a very long time. We'll see the end of the chase. This is a bit of Benny Hill music right here.
Thanks for that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. 4 minutes though, Ender. And you know what's coming up in those 4 minutes? An Ocean Soul for Excel.
Ooh.
An Ocean Soul for Excel. Rogue and Excel, even in gold. 3 items on both the AD carries, both of them going for the Infinity Edge, alongside their Mythic and Lord Dominics. Looks like Patrik is actually going Essence Reaver for his 4th. Sleep's gonna land. Oh, this is Drift King territory. No, Kryze decides to stop it. Torre diving in, and Larssen, no flash from the previous fight. He has a scatter of the weak, but the weak are right back in it. Czekolad with the kill. Odoamne now running away towards the top side. He could look for a jump across the wall here with the Gnar, but Czekolad's gonna try and chase him out. Rogue doing what they can. Trymbi still has the flash, the Magnet Storm, the Attract Repel. Is he gonna go in? Czekolad has a Gnar of his own, but he is Gnarred into the wall. He counter Gnars. But here goes Trymbi, and this is a great fight perhaps for Rogue, but already they have lost 2. Trymbi and Inspired just delete it.
And with the jungler gone, Excel, they can turn their sights over towards the Baron. Hansama, no flash, no killer instinct, has no way to really get into this fight. There's also no Gnar ult ready to go for Odoamne. Look at Torre's positioning. I love this. Over the wall. If Han steps too far forward, he's dead.
Odoamne jumps on top of him. Excel disengaged the Baron. How long they got? 12 seconds on Larssen, and he has the teleport here, Ender. This could be disaster for Excel. This could be their playoff hopes going up in flames. They disengage. They retreat away from the Baron. And I don't think Rogue will be able to do it themselves. Odoamne trying to build up the Mega here off the blue buff, but instead he will just secure that buff for his AD carry. And it looks like Excel will retreat for the moment. 2.5 minutes left on that.
Wait a second. With resets coming through, Rogue are actually going to try to do the Baron. I really like this call. Kryze can't return here. Czekolad doesn't have TP. Torre is still stuck in base as well. Rogue are just going for the fight.
Odo gets the Gnar into the wall, but Kryze is going to run his way away. Patrik still full mana. Dan full mana as well. Has the Lilting Lullaby. Rogue, they do have vision control over the Baron pit, but they will not start it up.
So it starts off with a really great sleep here from Dan. I don't think there's too much to be said about this other than good job, Excel. Now at this point, this is where I wonder, is it actually correct for Excel to keep chasing into the jungle? Now they could have continued to push mid. They didn't have the minions though. Those were a little bit further away, so I don't think they had threat to actually go onto an inhibitor. And you know that Rogue are corralled here. They don't really have anywhere to go. So I think that Rogue's decision is to try and get Hansama and Odoamne out alive, because over this wall, because of the terrain, Hansama has no way to actually fight, has no way to hit frontline, and the same can be said for Odoamne. And then once we're back into a Baron dance situation, then they can try to stall out and wait for the TP to come back there for Larssen. So they decide to sacrifice half their players so they could get a few out at the very least.
Where was this Excel the rest of the season? Just like, this weekend has been exceptional.
We saw
from
them for the first half.
Yeah, that's true. We saw them for 5 games,
And then
they left for 7, and now they're back. Dan now with the Cosmic Drive. A Cosmic Drive as well finished on Czekolad. Dragon tower goes down in the bottom lane. 33 minutes in. Game basically even. The only difference is 2 extra Ocean Dragons sitting on Excel's shoulders. There's an Ocean Soul available in a minute's time, and here goes Patrik diving in with a Gale Force. Swell Seed goes a little bit wide. Excel have to win this game to make it into playoffs. The question is, can they fight back Rogue? Rogue who've been so consistent, so good in these late game fights throughout the course of spring.
If Excel are going to win this game, they have to keep Patrik alive in the fights. Czekolad has fallen pretty far behind Larssen inside the mid lane. Patrik now sitting on 4 items. The same can be said for Hansam. If he's allowed to free hit the front line of Rogue, Excel's team fight looks oh so good here. But Rogue have push on mid. Excel committed into the river way too early, so now they use the ulti to charge on through.
Charging in, the Banshees is popped. Kryze knocked back with the Scatter of the Week. He's already down to about 3rd HP. Inspired, chunked out to half as well. Torre looking for the Hex Flash across the wall. Can't find the man, can't find the target.
Yeah, that was all about getting the Gnar ult, I think, though, from Czekolad. And if Dan's Swirl Sleed had connected, like Larssen and Hansam were just dead there. There's a stopwatch on Hans that could keep him alive for a little bit longer, but now Kryze's teleport will come through. That ulti, level 16 passed, very low cooldown, so he's going to be ready to charge in just a few more seconds.
Battle lines are drawn. Rogue take the top side, Excel take the bot, and it might be a Baron for Ocean Dragon trade, but this Baron...
That's just not worth it, Rogue. Excel love to get the Ocean for this. They can still force a team fight as well. Trymbi has been spotted out with the blue trinket. That is huge. The flank now from Rogue is gone.
Baron is going to get taken down. Now, can Czekolad get in there? Because he has the Gnar, the sleep. That was so long range, and here we go. Goodbye, Hansama. Sent back to the fountain, sent packing. And you can pack your bags, Rogue, because you're not going to win this against an Ocean Soul. You may have Baron, but Czekolad has 2 more kills in his Death Note.
Excel have a big wave in the top lane as well. They're going to try to ride into the rest of the base. There's only 3 players alive from Rogue. Larssen has good wave clear, but an Udyr and a Rell can do absolutely nothing against these waves too. So if Larssen is zoned from the minions, they're going to lose an inhibitor. I think they may just...
Inspired and Larssen there were trying to catch Torre out as he tried to join up with his team, looking for a flank position. You can see Torre's walked that exact path just a little bit later than Rogue would have wanted. Minions cleared out in the top lane. Patrik, though, has escorted away here in mid. This inhibitor tower will be forfeit. Rogue, look at that Baron power play, and a -800, minus a soul, minus an inhibitor, and perhaps minus a win here as Excel continue on their march to playoff. Remember, guys, this win does not lock Excel, but it gets them darn well close. Inspired, pulled back with a Magnet Storm, a 3-man sleep, and here comes the follow-up. Torre diving in, and that's a double. Larssen taken out, and Excel have excelled. This is excellent, exceptional. Somehow they get the quadra kill for Patrik. Odoamne's not going to give him the penta. He's been denied Pog so many times. He wants to deny the penta kill here for Patrik, but perhaps Excel are going to look for it. Are they greedy? You've only got 6 wins so far this split. Take one away and you have as many kills as Patrik might get in this penta. Instead, Excel say, no, we want playoffs more than the penta. And they get their 7th win of spring.
Kryze has got the sunglasses on because it's oh too easy for the Excel top laner. Excel, they take down the 2 best teams in the league in a row, back-to-back in the final week of the split. And if they lose just 1 game, they're eliminated from playoffs. Excel have never made the playoffs before in the organization's history. And no one was expecting them to come into this week and have a legitimate shot, but somehow they continue to surprise us.
I mean, literally in the first playoff checkup, I said, I'm going to ignore Excel because their strength of schedule is too difficult. And now, somehow they are still in the running, and 3 of the players in the running for your key player of the game at LEC on Twitter are Kryze, Patrik, and Torre. I tripped over a sandbag there for a second. Vote for one of them. They all played really well. Torre got his 1000th career assist. Oh, don't do it. I can see it out of the corner, the peripheral vision.
Being yelled at. I was being yelled at. I can't press the button.
You have to do it next champ select, apparently.
It's fine.
That's the rule. You have to wait. But yes, so...
Seemed like Vedius could press the button whenever he wanted. I don't know.
Vedius is better than you, according to Kevin. Over the past few days, Excel have taken down both G2 and Rogue, the top 2 teams in the LEC. After the break, we're here from Czekolad. Don't go anywhere. Hey, can we get Vedi on the desk with me next game? Is that cool? Thanks.
to the LEC Super Week as Excel are fighting so hard to get the playoff spot. And Czekolad, yesterday was G2, today was Rogue. I don't even know where to start. I mean, what happened today and how do you explain this victory against Rogue?
So hello. This time I didn't need to burger flip. I think it was Patrik who burger flip on natural a bit, you know. How did we win? I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Like so much shit happened like lately. Like we had so long blue strike, but we were still like motivated a lot. In screens we are doing fine. I think not good, not bad. So and I think we just had so much motivation to get to playoffs.
I can imagine. I mean, I was talking to Youngbuck just before the game, and we were comparing G2 versus Rogue. But how was it playing the two of them? I mean, how are they different? And was it easier to beat Rogue than G2, maybe?
Oh, it's so cringe to play versus G2. Like it's so cringe because every wave, Reckless. Oh, I wanted to say bad word, but I shouldn't. Every wave, Reckless is moving and Mikey is camping in bush. Like it's so hard to play. Like. You just need to chill much versus them. Like you believe like your AD carry is good enough, and you will win, I guess. And versus Rogue, actually I don't know. Like they were AFK kinda. Like we just won on having better weak side champion. I think like they couldn't dive Sion and Gnar couldn't lane versus us, so they were losing temporize. What else? I had decent Gnar ulti, I think, and matchup was kinda hard on me. And not hard, like I was just missing creeps because I'm bad, you know. But I should have more creeps for sure. I was just missing like noob. I don't know, like we just won, I guess.
You just won, indeed, and don't be too hard on yourself. You had an insane game here, and I mean, you were telling me that scrims are going well. Seeing the smile on your face, I guess that you are doing well also, so is the rest of the team. But I feel like in difficult situations, sometimes pressure can become a fuel. Do you feel like that's the case for Excel here?
Actually, yesterday, like when I woke up, I had a feeling that we're gonna beat G2, and today I had a feeling that we're gonna beat Rogue. Like actually I don't know, like it's the fuel, I guess, and I just hope Selfmade will carry today versus Misfits, and tomorrow we beat Schalke, and we make it happen, you know. Miracle run.
Miracle run, yeah. As the caster was saying, it's not entirely on you. I mean, you need Fnatic to win against Misfits later, but you also need to win against Schalke tomorrow to get the playoff spot. So I guess you're the biggest Fnatic fan right now. But thinking of the matchup, Misfits versus Fnatic, do you think they can take it, and how?
I mean, if they draft like humans, I think they will win, you know. But like they kinda trolling in drafts, I think. So everything can happen. But also we made remake versus Fnatic, so they can be mad and just lose on purpose to Misfits. No, I'm joking. I just hope they will win, and we're gonna beat Schalke tomorrow.
All right, well, keep the jokes running, keep the smiles going, and yeah, let's get this third win for Excel. I'll see you tomorrow, Czekolad. Good luck on the last game, and thank you.
Yeah, you will see me. Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. And we're gonna take a break, and we'll be back in a few minutes with Misfits versus Fnatic. Stay tuned.